Luxury Nuggets powered by Luxury Connect and Luxury Connect Business School. In our endeavor to uncover hidden gems of luxury created by Indians for the world, we bring to you the inside story of those who dare to dream and challenge the status quo of luxury brands originate only in Europe. Stay tuned for a discovery of true luxury nuggets by the pioneers and creators from India. In our very first episode, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Raaghav Belavadi, the founder and CEO of Hype Luxury, India's foremost luxury mobility startup. Hive spans across 23 countries in India, Dubai, and UK. With the largest fleet, it is the preferred choice for luxury cars, yachts, and private jets, ensuring convenience, safety, and elite experience. So, welcome, Raghav. It's an honor to host you and learn more about your journey. This very fantastic organization that you have created in a very short span of time. As an individual, I've been observing the journey of Hive, and I remember talking to you, I think, during COVID off the cuff, and we just connected as professionals in the same trade. And since then, I've been watching your slow movement and slow but steady movement to where you are today. So, congratulations and welcome once again to Luxury Nuggets. I would want you to answer a few pointed questions which can bring into pointed learning. So, why don't you tell us more about the concept, ideology, and the value proposition that helped you create Hype Luxury as a brand?
Sure. Thank you, Mike. First of all, thank you for having me on this show. As you said, there are only handful luxury businesses or startups in India. So I keep pushing for more and more people to focus on premium, build luxury instead of building anything else for the mass market. So it's not that we come from a billionaire family. So for us, building a luxury was nothing shorter than like inventing a automobile because we didn't have enough expertise in the market who could help us, build the brand. Nothing was easy. So on the other side, probably I was more of a luxury customer in my previous, part of corporate or my startup journey. But that doesn't kind of technically qualify you to become an entrepreneur in the same domain. It's very difficult to build a luxury domain because we don't know what people want, and they want too much. The expectation is too high. The quality sense is too high. So everything is abnormally high what we compare to mass market businesses. But it just happens, and we started building that. But today, I think uh, our from the day we started, we decided to build this. I'm not sure how serious we were, when we started with just a luxury car rental. It will be fun to see people driving away or luxury cars, and stuff like that, which turned into a major business model. And today, if we are across many states or many countries, it's basically because it's our curiosity. Now, more and more, we want to find out what exactly people want. How exactly does industry domain work? What are the nuances? What are the challenges? I think that excites more rather than building anything else, which is more like a widely open secret. To build an e-commerce or an FMCG or a retail business, anything to the mass, it's probably, I won't say easy, but it's relatively, it's an open book. You could do that, but so I always give this example. It's easier to sell one Ferrari to a Ferrari customer compared to selling 100 Hondas to customers. That's because Ferrari knows, owner knows exactly what is Ferrari, and he knows that that's his choice, and money is never an issue, and he knows why that fits into his lifestyle. Whereas selling Honda cars is every time you have to tell what is the mileage, what is the discount, and what is the service, how long will it last, and there are so many questions. Ferrari questions are probably a lot more lesser when it comes to Honda questions. So yeah, I mean, we built an aggregator. This is always in my mind. As a businessman, it's probably not a good idea to build assets. I think that worked out well during COVID. Had it been an asset-heavy company, we would have been wiped out during COVID times. So that enables us to cater to a wide range of customers, wide range of fleets, so that there is never a no-show kind of a situation when it comes to customer delivery. Be it luxury cars or private jets or yachts, we are always having an upper hand when it comes to having access to a wide range of cars or any of the fleets.
So would you say your model is very similar to a Uber model where the owner can switch on and switch off availability of his device as per his own personal wish, or is it sort of once they are registered with you, you have control of the device on the maker the vehicle?
Um, I mean, aggregation is a widely known concept, and there's nothing new about building an aggregator. But hype is quite different in several different ways. First of all, we are not an on-demand kind of company. Whatever, whether it's private jet or yacht or luxury car, we're not an on-demand. So you really have to schedule it.
Right.
So I mean that automatically makes it that only a bit more orderly, organized people can get into this domain. And we are really not interested in building you click a button and a car will come or a flight. We're not interested in that model at all. And neither that has been in the mindset. Second of all, we we don't do business um, on apps. You know, it's very difficult to do business on apps because we are in an experiential industry, and you cannot guarantee a great experience when you're fiddling with your device. And our customers, most of them don't even care about what is on your app and technology-wise. All they want is how best is your service. So keeping the service quality higher and higher, raising the bar every day would be the challenge as an aggregator. Although as an aggregator, we look like, okay, so we just change hands from take fleet from someone and give it to our customers. It's actually not like that. So it takes a lot of effort for our operations team or marketing team to curate every booking, needless of what you are hiding on Hive, just to make sure that you always walk out with the best in class experience, because we are actually setting standards in the mobility world. So that's the vision, to be the world's largest luxury mobility aggregator as a platform.
Right. Oh, wonderful. So, I mean, typically there would, especially when it comes to yachts and private jets, etc., there are several typical broker per se, who operate out of Europe or even in India. I mean, I can hire a private jet on demand kind of a thing, or an emergency also I can hire through several companies which have come up mainly during post-COVID era. This has really caught on in the smaller towns, and people have realized that it might make sense to have a private jet to fly around rather than wait for the normal airline to adopt. So how is your operations different from those operators, a typical private jet operator or a yacht operator or even automobile operator for that matter?
So specifically speaking about private jet operator, uh, so we are not, I mean, there are quite a few in India. I mean, private jet operators are like mushrooms. They're everywhere globally also. But we are not that. So we partner
Hmm.
with only some of the most reputed organizations, whether they are
Okay.
the fleet owners or whether they themselves amass the fleet from elsewhere as like a mini aggregator. It doesn't matter. But we go with the most reputed brands because our customers are paying through their nose. So it is, we cannot really play around with the sentiments and the quality or the service. It has to be top notch. So
Right.
so here is a 5 cents if I have to give. What you see on private jets often are actually not Hive's customers. Now that may be quite a revelation, because we have seen mostly in India. There are a few providers, who provide private jets, and they want to Uberize the private jets. Again, we are not interested in Uberizing the private jets. Private jets is a class apart. It's for the most elite people, and it has to be um, significantly above your first class commercial jet
Sure.
experience.
Sure.
So it at your time, at your fingertips, almost at your location, everything at your fingertips. So people who have a demand in their lifestyle which no other fleet can accommodate except for a private jet. They are our customers, and people who are regularly using private jets, who can't even think of private jets not being available for their time at their place. They are most likely our customers, and not people who are trying to do one-off, or probably who are more discount driven. No, they are definitely not. They're on our radar. So it's very difficult for us when we focus on those customers whose daily mobility, daily runners are private jets and luxury cars. This
Right.
theory applies to same everywhere. People who spend today, let's say the most expensive hotel in India, let's say you spend about 8 to 10 lakhs a night, let's say, right? And you spend there for about a week, 5 days. So you spend technically about 50, 60 lakhs, and the maximum fun they have is jumping into a swimming pool and having a family time and stuff like that. But the same $100,000 can be on somewhere in the French Riviera or on the Mediterranean or around the Mauritius, a completely big yacht, all for yourself with food. That's a fun unlimited. I think people have to, at least from an India point of view, people have to learn to move out of the hotel rooms and have actually fun in the middle of the sea instead of throwing
Okay.
money on the walls, in the concrete wall. That's absolutely no fun. So that mindset is there for private jets also. Like if there is a four-seater going, people often try to share with four people, and they do all this mix up. We're not interested. We don't offer those things. This is exclusive. This is top of the class private jets, whether it's in India or elsewhere. We don't offer any seat sharing or any aggregation or adjustments when it comes to private. So even if one person is flying, there are many customers in India or Europe and Middle East. One person traveling all the way in a four-seater or a six-seater, because that's luxury. So to travel with six strangers in a private jet is no better than traveling in your government buses.
In a minibus, true that, true that.
So those are definitely not our customers, and they can have
Wow.
their fun somewhere else. But we are very clear about who is our target audience.
So I would say, listening to you, I would say that Raghav is probably the Ferrari of luxury mobility. You choose whom you want to sell to. You don't sell to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually um, so these are something that we have learned over a period of time. So if you go to our website, we have Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Rolls Royce, and a lot of things. Not every car you can hire. So people often call back and kind of express their disappointment that no, why cannot hire a Ferrari for self drive? So we always say no, that's for our club members. And who are your club members? Well, it costs about $30,000 every year, and this is an invite-only program because we know people who are spending um, crores of rupees on hype, their Intel globally. So we look at their pattern, we look at their driving style, look at their profiles, and based on that, we make a selection. We invite them to join. For them, then at that point of time, it's a matter of pride and prestige to be part
Right.
of Hype's Presidente program. So Presidente card comes with a unique carbon coated black card with a very unique code that nobody else can read except for your eyes. And
Wow.
that enables you to not only get discounts and better prices and better cars globally, but it gives you
Hmm.
access to some of the brand new fleet. Like about 4 months ago, we launched the Gulfstream 700 in the Middle East. So
Wow.
our customers had the first opportunity to lay their hands to travel on Gulf 700, G700.
Very-
And when we launched Rolls-Royce Spectre, which is the first super luxury electric car, so they had the first opportunity to drive around. Spectre is almost impossible otherwise to be rented by anybody. And most importantly, we hired a brand new Bugatti Chevron. So if
Ooh.
you are our Presidente card member, you could drive around. So you have to be careful because it can go up to 400 miles an hour. It can actually take off like a plane. But otherwise, the experience is unlimited. People who are wealthy, they're looking for what maximum you know a money can fetch them in terms of an experience. So
Sure.
sometimes they are not even happy sitting in the most VVVIP arena inside a FIFA, or
True.
the right in front of your celebrities in your tennis sports, like Wimbledon, right? So they always want to maximize that where else I can have a unique experience. For them, it is a social status. It's a different orbit that they can go and brag in front of their circle, saying that look, I went to moon yesterday, I went to Mars, like I drove an EV. So there's no fun. They don't care about I drove a Tesla. Nobody cares about it. So for them, creating those exquisite experiences in mobility is an extraordinary effort, and it's quite exciting actually. So Ferrari on an still is on a lower end car on hype,
Sure. I can
so to
imagine. I
say.
can.
So you can imagine that expectation builds up from that point and above.
Right. I mean, so you put you got your entry barriers very, very clearly well defined. And what I understand is that while you try to provide a concierge-like expertise and service, but you limit yourself to mobility. You're not a typical concierge service provider that you'll do anything and everything for your club members. Or are you?
No, we are not. We don't book hotels for our customers,
Hmm.
but we do only in the mobility. So that's our vision, and we'll stick to that.
No, so I mean, for example, you just took the name of a Wimbledon. For example, if you one of your customers, your black card member wants to attend the Wimbledon, so will Hype Luxury give an end-to-end solution or only be plug and play for the mobility factor of that particular length?
No, so usually our target audience who are looking for Wimbledon VVIP tickets, they already have some or the other who is supporting them in those kind of concert services.
Right,
How do they get to Wimbledon? We will take care of. But
right.
at Wimbledon, the ticket and all of these things, I mean, including the hustles, the operation, the food, and somebody as an escort going with them, all these things on ground operations are handled by somebody else, and that's even more challenging, to be honest, right?
Yes.
So we'll drop them up to the gate, and we'll park our cars, and from then onward somebody else will take over. So that's usually how it works, not only for Wimbledon, but it's also for FIFA. Now UEFA is going on, or festivals in Monaco or in Dubai. Our services are as long as the person is on the move. So once
Hmm.
he stops and there's an event there, from somebody else has to take over.
Right. So you coordinate with, let's say, established concierge agencies like a Quintessential, or they reach out to you. I mean, I just took a name. I mean, I don't mean Quintessential, but
Yeah.
largely speaking, companies of that level. Yeah.
Yes, I mean that's a good question. Yes, they do. They do plug in whenever there's connectivity like this. They definitely get in. We automatically have a mechanism that we allocate a single point of contact, so that they get in touch with them. Contact. There's a WhatsApp group made, and every second there's an update made that like eagle has entered, eagle has checked in, eagle is seated, eagle is fed, and eagle is out. So so until they are dropped back to the hotel or to the residence. So yes, I mean that from a coordination point of view, yes, of course, it has to be seamless coordination. We just cannot just draw lines and get out of
Yeah.
throwing the
Absolutely.
customer into the wolves. We can't do
Yeah.
that. So we have
In
to do
fact,
that.
you made life simpler for these concierge companies because this is also a very difficult part of the entire experiential journey that the concierge company wants to provide. I imagine somebody going to an India-Pakistan match in New York in the recent past. For them, it becomes easy. They connect with a Raghav and say, Raghav, you take care of the travel and the on the ground mobility, and then pick them and drop them, etc. Whereas they take care of the hotel. So you've chosen a niche within a niche, is what I understand by talking to you. But Raghav, tell me what inspired you. Tell me more about Raghav as an individual. I mean, every brand or every such story comes with inspiration of the owner or the creator. So, what was your inspiration to get into this business?
Okay. So well, I think this story is widely known by everybody. First of all, in my previous startup, because I lived in Switzerland for about 16 years, I drove some of the most fantastic cars. There was no shortage of cars. I had about 4 cars and drove all these Mercedes, BMW, Audi, and even Porsche. And I used to rent very often these Lamborghinis and Ferraris for fun because in the Autobahn in Germany you can drive 200, 300 kilometers an hour, without any traffic tickets. So I was already fascinated from my Accenture days. Actually, I always have been having cars. But one of the incidences that actually changed was I came down to India, I think in 2015, um, and it was our parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So I and my sister, we organized a Rolls Royce for them to in Bangalore to go to a five-star hotel so that we can host them a lunch, and everything was set up. You can't believe it. So there were about 10, 11 guests, family members who were all ready, and we had booked three cars. One is a Rolls Royce, one is a Maybach, and one is an Audi A7. Thanks to the opportunity which kind of manifested itself, the Rolls Royce didn't show up, and we were all left high and dry. And then we called this guy, and he said, um, "Sorry, there was a minister's program, and the car has to go there." So his car went because he's the minister. I was like, "No, I know India, but I actually paid the money, so you have to send me the car." He's like, "Sorry, I will refund this, or we can reschedule it another day, but today, sorry, it has to go to a minister." I was pretty annoyed, so was my sister, because, it was like two, three families who were waiting, and we had to literally cancel all of that day, and we had to reschedule it on that day. But I was already a pretty seasoned entrepreneur by 2015. And that got me to thinking that, so because every time, let's say about 10, 15 years ago, um, or before Modi ji's era, probably. So whenever you landed in a very stinking airport. When you want to check out, when you come out, you always have the stinking cabs.
Hmm.
Really, really obnoxious drivers who will
Agreed.
drive you. So no matter how much money you have, unless any of your family or friends who sends a car to pick you up, you're actually in a very bad hands to
True.
transport you and your luggage from airport all the way to your place. And that's a nightmarish experience in a city already, traffic flooded city like Bangalore. So I always hated coming to India, saying that whether it's Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, I hated it so much that, man, now I have to get into this cab. I literally used to push all my bearings to make sure that I have a better car. And the biggest car I would get is a Toyota Camry. So I will tell you why. The reason was typically the brick and mortar services, especially in the luxury car industry. Luxury cars were sent to either to a five-star hotel, or to an airlines, or to a minister's family weddings, or to a filthy rich Marwadi's wedding. So otherwise, B2C customers didn't have access to that at all. So that I wanted to break. So as an entrepreneur, my antenna were upright, and then I said, no, no, we should, what, taking 10 cars is not a big deal. So we went and struck the deal.
Hmm.
And we just started with, I think, 10 or 12 cars in Bangalore. Within like 6 months, we were more than 1,600 cars in 4 or 5 cities. So which kept growing because we became the major sales force for the vendors. So today we have about 14,000 cars in India. So
Wow.
makes us the largest aggregator for luxury cars. So both individuals and companies who own luxury cars are today our partners. So that way we actually activated many entrepreneurship within this, because people like pilots and marine engineers or people who are in forces, they buy cars as an investment and attach it to hype. So that way it kind of keeps earning on its own. So today we manage a vast, more than I think 3,600, 3,700 privately owned cars by private
Wow.
individuals attached to. So that's a lot of, it's a startup within a startup itself.
Hmm.
So I mean
And
that's the incidents that actually, that was a turning point, so which
right.
actually irritated, and then it changed to be a turned out to be an opportunity on the long run.
Yeah, but this could explode. I mean, if this model sort of you made it successful already, you've been doing it for the past almost 10 years now, and the way you sort of positioned yourself and the way you've structured it, I think this could expand as per need, and you could have many investors investing in cars and putting the car onto hype to manage. I think, but how do you sort of compensate them in terms of the revenue model? I mean, it's sort of permanently leased to hype, and you take care of the maintenance, the running, the operations,
No,
etc., etc.
so one of the philosophies of the hype is we never get into anybody who is a provider on a long-term commitment. we don't even retail price it. Our only long-term commitment is with the B2B partners or with the customers. With providers, we don't get into. The reason being that we don't want to enter into a contract and then for whatever reason, if there is a breach, then we don't want to put the entire company resources at risk. So we don't do that. So we are, as the demand comes, we push it to automatically an AI engine that puts it to the best provider based on the availability, and instantly it gets approved and the car rolls on. Right. So
Right.
we don't sign any retail agreement. So as and when the booking comes, the customer gets it, whether it's an individual or it's a company. And that's the
Right.
model which we have been operating pretty successful that
Right. Right. No, I mean, you've already taken the model overseas. So, I mean, whatever you created in India, you've been able to successfully duplicate in UK and Dubai as well. Which are the other markets you plan to get into in the future?
So right now we are in uh, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, UK. In the US, we are in Europe, we are in France, Switzerland, and Germany, Munich. In the US, we are in Manhattan, New York. We are in Miami, Florida, and we are in LA. So about 3, 4 places in the US and about another 8, 9 places worldwide. That's the market we are looking at. We want to explore Southeast Asia. We are looking at Hong Kong, Singapore, most importantly. So and I think those they show a lot of promises. I think we're still kind of um, making sure that whether there is really a market, and we'll see maybe in the next couple of years. But it's right now it started. It's a blip on our radar. Now we are still often we get into discussions whether there is a market in Singapore, especially Singapore. We need a bit more data
Hmm.
to arrive at the decision. I don't think it's too early for us to make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, prima facie, what you're saying is right, that there could be a market. I mean, primarily because it's not only a business center, but it's also a huge tourist destination, and there are tourists of all kinds of all segments of society that they go to Singapore even for shopping. So the point remains that you could have a market for all your products. I mean, but tell me, typically, I mean, I'm sure volume-wise, it is the automobile space which is the main revenue driver. But value-wise, is it the yachts or is it the private jets?
Sure, good question. Volume-wise, cars are higher, obviously, because they are used several times in a day, unlike a private jet or a yacht. From a revenue point of view, at a unit level, luxury yachts are the highest. They start from $100,000. They go about $1.6 million for a week. So bigger the yacht, bigger the amenities, higher the price. So I think I think the amount of effort we put in for a yacht is also significantly high,
Sure.
to engage a client, because then we need to have an extraordinary reputation in that circle. You know, uh, People simply won't buy because you have a yacht. There's no way. And there are already a lot of yacht partners, as you said, in Italy and France, and who are a mafia there. So what are we trying to get into? So we get in from an outside, which is extremely good positioning for us, because more than 95% of the customers who are flying in to French Riviera or Italian Riviera, or Mediterranean waters or Red Sea, they're from outside, from the US, UK, Singapore, China. They are trying to get into that water. So for them, we become the go-to brand. Maybe not
Right.
so much for Europe itself, because they know locally somebody and they'll get to the same vendor. They somehow do the deal. But people who often are Middle East, especially, and we are the go-to brand for them. And I mean, we're not there yet, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to be more appealing, not only appealing, but a compelling proposition for our customers. So that's the hunch, and that's what we are at it. Otherwise, um, I mean, what we are doing from a yacht point of view, it's really cool. If you are able to get 3 bookings, $300,000 each, we are about $1 million. That kind
Right.
of looks big, because there are only about 2,600 yachts globally. We have in our kitty, we have about 2,300. So, but what we do is we also kind of talk to B2B, in the sense there are smaller providers whose requests are not entertained by our partners. So we kind of become the mediator. So we kind of help them as a reference and we get them the fleet. Because the fleet owners don't just give fleet to anybody who just a walk-in customer. They profile. So
Right.
luckily, Hype is in that good profile now. So either we get a customer ourselves directly, or maybe a smaller broker who is trying to get in a very good
Right.
customer. So we kind of become the leeway for them. So both ways, I think we make money and we should have a reputation.
No, no, I'm sure. I mean, I think you having started from the automobile space, it's only a upward traction of the customer to move on to the next level of mobility that can come from Hype. And then if you have extended arm partners in the smaller brokers, as you call them across Europe, then you've got it going because most of the rich in Europe have been dependent on these people to sort of source their yachts or
Yeah.
their planes, etc. But tell me, I mean, you being of Indian origin but having spent a lot of time in Europe, do you think this trend is catching on in India in the recent past, especially post COVID? I mean, now you have this hyped up wedding by the Ambani family. It's all on a Mediterranean cruise and stopping at various European locations. Do you think it helps build the hype for the next level of the rich in India who also want to continuously, it's aspirational. Luxury is a very aspirational journey, and everyone looks at the next level of society. So, do you think this is going to add more potential customers to your business?
Um, so we have the burden of bringing up the awareness in India as a market. So it's not that we are here to sell and kind of make money, but we also have to kind of dispense the ideology of luxury, in general luxury and more so in luxury mobility. Often people, it takes time. So we have come a long way now, and people recognize Hype as a brand with our Sunil Shetty's association. There will be more celebrities in future. So these are all milestones as we get there. But we have seen one thing for sure is in India, the ability to kind of the disposable income sector has enlarged quite a lot.
True
So
that.
people already Indians are highly ambitious and they want to push the envelope all the time. But at the same time, they always want to negotiate and bring the price down and stuff like that. So one thing that I think the whole country has understood is at Hype there are no discounts. So that's point blank. So people don't ask, neither we give. But if they are part of our Presidente program, or if they are part of our corporate program, or if there is any shortage in services from our side, so we'll obviously kind of
Efficiently.
accommodate some discounts for them. Otherwise, for a walk-in customer, there's absolutely no. And from that point, we know that. Uh, Especially in a younger target audience, if I say around 25 to 35. So when we started, our target audience range was around 40 plus, and then it dropped down to like 32 to 45, 48 time. So now we see that people who just kind of go to our website and just book 10 days of Mercedes GLS, which costs them 7-8 lakhs. And we often wonder that when we look at the profile, the customer is usually about 30 years old. He
Wow.
comes from an MSME background, maybe a company which is about making about 200, 300 crores. Nobody cares about not being a startup or an entrepreneur or anything, but they are making quite well off from their industry point of view. They just buy it off the shelf. I think that's a very good market. But
Hmm.
how will they come to High? Because they are new to this area. They're looking for where is the best place where I can trust luxury cars or yachts or jets. And Hype comes to their name. So without any introductions, without any references, they can directly come to Hype because that is the brand positioning what we have. That's the brand
Hmm.
confidence. They can just come to our website. If they want, they can Google my name or Hype's name. They will see that extraordinary press sitting on the digital arena. And they will have 100% confidence when they just go ahead and click a button.
Hmm.
So we have a conversion rate of about 30-35% from those top level customers who book, who convert often into a club membership. 30%,
Wow.
and that's a phenomenal conversion. So all of these things happen behind the closed doors. The only reason it happens is because of the extraordinary reputation and the brand
Service.
promise that we have been able to build every single day. It's not a one-time thing, and we are still learning. There is so much to be learned, especially sitting in Dubai or I mean, move towards a little bit more towards Europe. I think it's extraordinary. Sometimes it's overwhelming what all we can offer. But due to geographical limitations, sometimes even though we want to, we cannot. Especially taking again on a on for example, India. No matter how much we want to do, sometimes it just system doesn't allow us to do so much to our customers. Whereas the same customer, if it flies within Dubai or Europe, you say, boss, I'm flying the same Falcon 2000. This is so much better here. Whereas in India, it wasn't that great. I'm like, yeah, shame on us, but that's the best we can go. I can't get a Falcon 2000 from Dubai all the way for you, but whatever Falcon we have in India, we can definitely fly that. So it's not a cockpit conversation that you can go and strike a deal with the pilot or the owner that can I get it for a lesser price or anything like that. So you have to be strictly a quality oriented person. You must you move into a fleet, whether it's car or a yacht or a jet. Your focus is to have fun, have a good time with your family or do your boardroom conversations, whatever it is. Your focus should be it's more of turning towards inside rather than looking at saying that, okay, how can I get the same jet for cheaper? Or, something you can take selfie and post and all of this, and that's fine. But you just cannot drop down from your own level suddenly by doing something that's not a practice of a luxury. So that's something that we try to educate the customers all the time that don't do anything silly because next time when you ask for a private jet, you may not even get it. So
That's what I said. So Raghav is in a very coveted position. You're like the Ferrari. Huh? You say I choose who I want to serve and not the other way around. So that's a fantastic position to be in,
I mean,
Raghav.
you have to hit the nail in its head. So otherwise, the more options you give, especially when it's like a school. There are children sitting in front of you. The more options you give them, they'll try to freak out in all 10 different directions. You have to tell them that no, this is the right thing. So you do it because we have learned it, and because our job description is to learn it, and you take it. If you don't want to take it, I'm fine. But this is what it is the best. So
No, no, very well said. Because I literally run a business school, man, trying to create luxury talent pool, and this is exactly our philosophy that we decide whom to give admission to. Not everyone who
yeah,
applies gets admission to our school, right?
yeah.
So coming back to Hive, I understood that you have couple of revenue models or service model offerings, and each one has a different customer journey. Someone who walks in will have a different customer journey. Someone who's experienced Hive by virtue of being a first time buyer or second time buyer, he may have access into your club, etc., etc. So can you share with the audience in terms of the levels of customer that you've created, and what's really the typical customer journey for a first time buyer? I've come to your website, I like something, and I placed an order, say 10 lakh rupees, whatever is your minimum ticket price, and I've paid the order. What is the next process that you adopt? I mean, is there a profile check done? Is a background check done? How do you sort of ensure that this customer is not going to be a troublemaker? He's going to be all right for us. He's all right to have in our list of database of customers, etc., etc. So, what's really the process you adopt at the back end, and how do you extend that service as a journey to the customer? What are the next steps?
Hmm. That kind of ropes the entire operations. Let me see if I can simplify it. So for first-time customers, if they discover us on Google or by any references or some ads anywhere, right? So um, people who are our real customers, not from a value point of view, but from a longevity point of view, they will just go to our website and click on a button and they just buy. Okay, if it is a car. If it is a yacht and jet, they'll simply call our customer experience number and they'll say, hey, we are looking for this one. We want a jet from here. I heard your name for the first time, so I want to try. So we take extra care that, we kind of service in a much better way. It's only two ways. Either somebody calls us if they need clarification, or they can directly book it through our website. So only two ways. So once the booking comes, I think you kind of highlighted this in your question that every profile is internally a background check is done, whether it's a chauffeur drive, whether it's self-drive, even more prominently, even for a private jet or even for a yacht. We want to know the purpose. We want to know which location. how much is duration, what are you going to do with the car or a yacht, jet. So we want to know about everything. There's no hide and seek at all. So we just cannot, you want a car, okay, take this car and do whatever you want. No, we are not a company. So why we want to do this is we are a very responsible company. Today in this world, when actually we are introducing luxury in a country like India, we have to be even more careful because people can kind of misuse that, sometimes. I'm not saying that they would, but there's high
It
probability
can.
that they can. So we need to be responsible both for our customers, our company philosophy, as well as most importantly for our providers, who are our partners.
Mm,
So we just
mm,
cannot act recklessly as a desperate salespeople saying that, okay, so we got a customer, somehow make the money and tie the knot with this product, and then it's not wash our hands. No, we're not going to do that. So
mm,
if the background check fails, if the
mm,
purpose looks shady,
mm,
we'll simply deny it and refund it instantly. So it
mm,
happens all the time, for private jets, for yachts, and for cars, not only in India, but globally. To give
mm,
an example, in UK, people just book a Ferrari for like 1 week. So at the time of booking, they have to give their passport and driver's license and everything. So we know that if we give this car, we have an AI engine that runs the background check from Interpol, passport, and everything. So if we give this car to a guy in London, he's going to go drive away to France, and there's no way that we can catch him.
that's true.
So we know that there is a history like this, so we don't give. So it's okay for us to say no,
Mm,
very consciously and responsibly to say no.
mm,
um, I don't know whether that creates a FOMO for people or that drives them crazy and brings anger in them, but we protect ourselves, uh, with all sort of measure that's possible.
mm,
Otherwise we are just going to be another loosely assembled roadside car rental company or a private jet mushroom company. You can find it anywhere on your street. So we don't want to be. So because we have a much bigger vision, um,
mm,
to build a global brand, to equal ourselves with the Louis Vuittons and Hermes, Versace's of the world. That means our behavior, our attitude, and our customer focus should be exactly same, although we're in a different industry. So we behave the same way. So for example, if somebody profile is qualified and uh, his behavior is not good with our customer, our drivers, or with our operations team, abusive, so immediately blacklist them. We blacklist them globally. So
mm,
nowhere in hype they get, nowhere with our hype's partners also they will get a car or yacht or jet. It's
mm,
at their own risk if somebody still wants to override it and give it, but we kind of send out the alert saying that stay away from this profile. So
mm.
that's extremely valuable for our partners also. And
Yeah.
it doesn't happen very often, to admit,
Mm.
but it has happened. As a
No,
business, I think these are our, you know,
those are the professional challenges, hazards that every business has challenges and hazards,
yeah,
right? Because in your business, if you have one case of an accident or one case of mishandling of the car, your let's say high value ticket customers are going to prefer to stay away from hype. If in case something of, let's say, something which is notoriously carried out by any of your clients on any of your properties or your assets is going to bring bad name to hype, and that's going to be your biggest risk. That's why the question in terms of how do you do the profile check, the background check, because
yeah.
you rightly said people can be very, very slippery and they could sort of hide behind facades, right? So, hmm.
I
Tell
mean,
me, I
so
mean,
to implement this is easy for a bigger brand. People will, just shut up, saying that, "Oh, okay, this is too big, you can't mess with this." But when there is a smaller brand like Hype, they'll try to mess with this. So it is difficult for a smaller organization to implement top of the quality measures like this compared to a larger brand, which is a global brand. But still,
got
we
it.
still have to do this because this is a journey. As long
Yeah,
as we are
yeah.
in business, we have to be doing it.
It has to be part of your SOPs. You can't sort of compromise on that.
Absolutely. That's what
Hmm.
it should be. Yes.
But now that you got operations all over the world now, where is really headquarters? What's headquarters for you? Is it Bangalore? Is it Dubai, Switzerland, or what is it?
The headquarters is still in Bangalore. From both the sentiment point of view, where we started, and that's the message we want to send it to the rest of the
Lovely.
world also. That please always remember this is headquartered in Bangalore, India, and that's where everything started. And I more than the luxury itself, why I want to keep forever Bangalore. See, tomorrow for financial and tax reasons, we might have an office in Ireland. That doesn't
Sure.
matter. But
Sure.
but the heritage home office would always stay in Bangalore.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the reason being, um, we were we were stolen 40, 50 trillion dollars years ago. And I always say this whenever I get an opportunity. And and we don't have to, I'm not saying this with arrogance, but Indians have even Sanskrit shlokas that says Atiti Devo Bhava and all of that.
Correct.
So nobody taught us so that you go and do a better business. They taught us so that we know how to accommodate, strangers or guests in your home or in your life.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
accommodating power or prowess is within ourselves.
Agreed.
We just have to put it to some kind of a, philosophically speaking, you can put it to some use. You can actually build a business out of that, commercially,
Sure.
speaking. uh, but I'm saying that we don't have to kind of go out of the way to learn to become like an artificially how to cater to, that's the difference between how people take care of our customers in India and how the same set of SOPs, the same employees take care of the customers
In
in
Europe.
in the rest of the world. So people always who come to India, they'll say, okay, so your team went out of the way. Is a very common feedback we get. But other countries will say, oh, the service was top notch. Absolutely, because it could be cleanliness, it could be hygiene, it could be turnout, it could be time management, it could be professionalism, anything. That probably they are much better. For what we don't have in some of those aspects, we easily kind of compensate that with our fondly nature of taking care of somebody as if they're really our home guests, our house
Yeah.
guests, right? So um, each one has its cultural values, and that's important for us to operate, being sensitive towards locally how the cultural sensitivities are and how we can kind of operate. There's a lot of dynamism in that. So that we need to take care when it comes to the customer experience.
No, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's been the essence of Indian culture, that we are very tolerant. And, I mean, Gandhiji used to say somebody slaps you on the right cheek, offer the left cheek instead of going violent. So, well, that's really going to the extreme. But the point is that be good to people, Atiti Deva Bhava, etc., accommodate. You make sure the guest eats and you don't eat, etc. So all that has been ingrained in us, and we go an extra mile, especially when it comes to a guest or somebody you're receiving out at home. So for you to bring that into this culture of your organization, I think that is really commendable, because that's the essence of what your business is all about, in terms of, because the product is available anywhere. Like you said, the inspiration was your parents' event got sort of, it got into a situation which led you into inspiration to create this particular business, and you want to ensure this doesn't happen to anyone else. So that comes from the spirit of ensuring that whatever has been committed is delivered, right? So I think that's very, very important. Let me steer this conversation towards uh, the latest talk on ESG and sustainability and DEI, etc., etc. These have become catchphrases, which were catchphrases some time back, but they are now becoming extremely important and critical for organizations like yours. So, what's the plan there? How do you sort of accommodate those requirements of the luxury world?
So So one of our critical measures that what we have seen, when we go out and speak in a certain degree, people might kind of misconstrue that. For example, you might have seen many of my LinkedIn posts that I broadcast a lot about my German cars. People might say, some people even say you're a sales guy for German cars and stuff like that. But I think that's shallow. But what I'm essentially trying to say is industries and businesses that are highly committed towards these kind of carbon footprint, kind of socially responsible programs, and who have given their milestones and vision that we are going to do this and show this. We're going to do this by this year and we're going to show this. I think they are a lot more trustworthy in our business than kind of randomly selecting some companies because they make money. Everybody makes money, but how we
Sure.
make money is often very important. So one of the reasons that why we don't have Indian cars, for example, I puts me to a little bit of shame if I have to be so bold about it. But If I have to say that, because I don't think we are qualified. And why I say that is, many of our customers who once in the very beginning years, when they would have driven around some of these cars and they were utterly unhappy, not only with Indian cars, but also they were quite annoyed with Japanese cars. So I used to get into an argument with them, like, what is wrong and what is this and what is that? It's like, no, there is no proof that, you're not polluting the environment. So then I realized that people who are in the in an elite class, for them, how much you're charging doesn't matter. To a certain extent, even if if you fall short of some of your promises, they understand. Oh, you're a startup. I know it's a business, it's a service. It's difficult. I know, I understand. But what it is difficult for them to understand is that we show no responsibility towards being an environmental friendly organization, and that blindfolded nature is unacceptable. So, for example, we did an event in Dubai 2 years ago, and we had hired one of the local agents to help us with the goodie bags and stuff like that. And this is the combined wealth of the forum where all these wealthy sheikhs and all these billionaires come. That was close to $3.2 trillion.
Wow.
So when we were creating a goodie bag, they made sure that everything is out of jute bags imported from India or Thailand or Indonesia, and all the cards are recycled and it is printed as recycled on the back of the cars, and they were all at least 2 to 3 times more expensive than your regular prints. And they
Sure.
had told us that, believe me, if you do this, you're a lot more going to be
Acceptable.
respected, instead of just casually throwing away some papers and brochures and showing your irresponsibility towards nature
Environment.
or environment. So we did that, and we were highly appreciated. We actually imported a lot of things from India, jute bags that were. We went out to some of the most remotest places where we got, instead of hiring it from a broker who is exorbitant in pricing, we gave an opportunity for somebody to give us 1,000 bags, which means a lot. And we told this as a story on the stage, that how we have taken care of this thing. Why we want to partner with Mercedes is because they have a vision by 2030 that we want to be net carbon free.
Carbon
Why
neutral.
we
Yeah.
want to go with Gulf Stream is because they have a net carbon philosophy or a plan. Every year it is why we want to go with Rolls-Royce engine, whether it's a Rolls-Royce engine or whether it's Rolls-Royce automobile in any other factor. It is always very important for them to stay neutral when it comes to environmental sensitivity.
Right.
If somebody doesn't have that passion or commitment and they're just happily sending metal boxes all over this, at least we don't want to be part of that.
Mm.
So and the next, it's a split vision. One is addressing your ESG, and second one is also how we are doing. So I will tell you an example. When people are buying 10 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 6 lakhs kind of cars or jets, so often there's a lot of guilt among them. That's something that we have learned. So when we kind of out there on the stage boldly say that, hey, we are part of the UNICEF, so we have partnered with UNICEF because a part of our profit should go to the underprivileged boys and girls in India, at least for Indian chapter. And that's how we want to kind of resonate. We just don't want to eat all profits and become a 300-pound gorilla in the room all the time. We want to kind of do that profit sharing so that we all are equally responsible. One is that we are having a very comfortable life, and on the other side also we shouldn't kind of completely ditch that and push them to the dark and dingy corner. We're somehow doing our best to kind of take care of that. So we partnered with UNICEF last year. So we removed all of the private jets and luxury cars or yachts who are not in sync with ESG or any of the carbon neutrality programs in Europe especially. Anybody who is not part of that, we immediately offline all of it. So we came from 2,680 yachts to about 2,300 now, and we were okay. So from about 24,000 private jets, we dropped to about 20,660, and we were okay with that. From about 34,000 helicopters, we dropped to 18,000 helicopters, and we were okay with that. We had about 62,000 cars. If we had taken all Tom, Dick, and Harry, American, Indian, and French cars who are not certified with Euro 6 or don't have a carbon footprint philosophy, we could have done more than 60,000. So we removed them. So we are now about 34,000. So the essentially the message we are trying to say is doing business is one thing, and doing business responsibly is another thing. If
True
you
that.
don't have that responsibility as a habit cultivated in an organization, your customers will not resonate and you will do injustice to luxury, and it is a shorter vision that you will ever be successful in luxury. That's going to remain as a dream.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, that sounds like a very massive fleet. So, who do you think is competition to hype?
See, for us, technically, every vendor who gives us the cars or yachts or jets is technically is a shared resource. So they are also doing business with the same field. We are also doing business. But I think the quality of the customers that Hype sends is always a top-notch quality. So and by and large, globally, all vendors accept that. Hey, Hype customers are extraordinary, beautiful customers. Who don't create a fuss about everything, who have a lifestyle, who understand, who give us very good feedback and easy to interact. Compared to a guy who will just walk in with some $10,000 and say, I want to drive Lamborghini and go and crash Lamborghini, and the company has to incur a lot of costs. The insurance goes bad for those people, and it's a very bad business, even in Dubai. So we completely terminated that, saying that no, if we don't profile, if you're not able to profile a customer, we won't give you that customer.
Hmm.
It's prevalent in Dubai, especially in Dubai. People buy Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they drive around the city, they
Around
go all
city.
the way to Abu Dhabi and come back and get 200, 300. They'll usually have about 30, 40 traffic violation tickets.
Oof.
And we would have taken a meager 5,000 dirhams as a security deposit, and it comes to 15, 20,000 dirhams as a violation tickets. So you can't catch them.
Hmm.
We processed it in a way that we made them do a financial tie-ups with the bank, so that there can be recovery made on cars, and plus you have the ability to null and void their driver's license. It appears on their Interpol when it comes to immigration. So there are checks and balances made so that they can recover the damage for no fault of them. A provider must not incur so much of loss. It's really expensive cost. So we want our customers, and we expect our customers also to behave responsibly, because
Hmm.
this is only for people who are educated not from a schooling or a degree point of view, but educated from a behavioral point of view.
That's a good point.
And
True.
everybody is using a shared resource. You need to keep your toilet seat clean. That's
Hmm.
the message we send it out to all of them, and most of them it does resonate because they're part of our culture and target audience. For people it doesn't that doesn't resonate, and they're not our customers.
Right, right. So, to manage this massive global operations, what is the talent pool size that you have?
Oh, I mean, you will be surprised that our own employees are we are only about 28 people. um,
Wow,
yeah,
amazing.
so yeah, I mean that's spread across globally from LA to all the way to Maldives. That's usually good enough because we have a watertight SOP in place. Even a single individual, one individual in Dubai can operate the entire 1,600 cars in Dubai, because he knows what is being operated and which car is going and how it needs to go. The checks and balances, everything comes to him as a recording. He personally is able to do that video recording before the cars go or the private jets go. Every spec on the floor, even on private jet, is taken into consideration, and there's a remark that goes to the fleet owner if the fleet is not clean or hygiene. So they also do some of the surprise audits, like whether the fleets are smelling good. We always want all of our fleets, whether it's yachts or jets or cars, they need to have that new car smell and a new fleet smell. So they can never get away with that smell. So they have to
Right.
constantly do that. So every time when a customer walks in, uh, they should feel it is a fresh
Yeah.
fleet just made for them. So I'll give you an example. Uh, in Changi Airport in Singapore, they have a particular perfume. So even when a blind man walking somewhere and you suddenly, let's say for experiment, you make him walk into Changi Airport, you instantly say this is Changi Airport. That's because of the perfume. So usually airports do that. I mean, top class airports they do that, and Didi. checking, the car company in China, in China, they do that, which I personally also have seen that. Real beauty, how do they do that? In India, we do the new car smell, but not all the time. Sometimes, let's say our efficiency is about 95%. But outside India, we are still about 99%. So that puts things into perspective. So with a small team, having a watertight SOP always helps us to manage everything digitally and also physically with
So
automation.
technology, majorly
Absolutely.
technology in place. Technology is being used.
Yeah, technology plays a very crucial role.
Yeah. Wonderful, Raghav. It was very, very enlightening to listen to your nuggets and your experiences and how you sort of innovated on on the go. It's really, very, very heartening. So we are on a mission to uncover such brands which are emerging out of India and challenging the European myth of luxury can only emerge from Europe. I believe that India has been a center of luxury. We have always been luxurious and very, very respectful towards consumers and people and tolerant, etc. So there's no reason maybe we didn't brand ourselves properly, and now with the new generation of entrepreneurs, the branding part is also called coming into play. So our endeavor is to uncover such hidden gems and bring it out into the limelight. If there's anything else you'd like to share with the audience, please feel free, Raghav. Otherwise, it's been wonderful talking to you.
No, it's great. Thank you once again. Just to stress on the point to whoever listens to this podcast, there's absolutely no fun um, from where I'm sitting. And if I'm saying this, that you just build an app, try to make money, whether it's a broker app or whether it's a food app, food delivery app or anything. Um, I don't think the real definition of entrepreneurship lies just because you're able to kind of build an app and get a few $1 million and then appear in social media. I really don't think. I think that's so superficial. You really have to do a 100-meter deep dive into the ocean of entrepreneurship, especially in a niche segments like luxury. It could be any other niche segment that you can do a deep dive. Do that hard work. It's going to take 10 years minimum, all said and done. Nefro Plus was probably one of the super most my favorite startup that started about 17, 18 years ago when there was no startup fever. And they were the only one. And every venture capitalist denied to invest. Finally, one VC invested, and today it became a huge successful business model bought over by Apollo, and stuff like that. I think what we have to derive from this is no matter how difficult it is, how fewer people may know this, if you think that there is a market, it solves certain aspirations or problems. I think we need to change that, and we must definitely stop building YAPE, WOPE, and all of this. Because we have enough. They're all horizontal and infrastructure. You know, as a country, I think we are kind of super saturated with that. There's a lot more in Indian industry to explore. Lot more. And what people don't know is, oh, this is so heartwarming when I see some of my customers who are just doing some horticulture, um, sea culture. They are actually home growing these prawns and the sea leaves and seaweeds and all that exporting. Their their profitability is 1,200 crores. Profitability.
Wow.
I mean, you don't even know them. I don't even know them. I have massive respect for those people who are just doing chip chop things like this.
Silently.
Um, yeah, quietly, and they are actually building the pillars because they are building profitability, they are providing jobs, they're increasing the economy, and they are exporting. They are making India really shine. If you don't
True
do
that.
this, no matter how popular is your app, nobody cares about it because people would use this like a toilet paper and throw it away. So
True that.
I think people must definitely consider doing the hard work, not in terms of burning the midnight lamp, but hard work in terms of solving the real problems in the market. So and to be the pillars of the country, as an
Yeah.
institution, and don't be an entrepreneur. Rather, in 10, 15 years, you should have a vision to be a statesman in this country, so that you look like the Tatas and Birlas and Adanis or Ambanis, right? So I think that builds the nation. If you're just building wealth for yourself by building some app, that's a very shallow thing. That's just like money mongering deal. So I would suggest that get into the real stuff.
Yeah, there has to be character and soul behind the business that you're building. So thank you very
Great.
much, Raghav. I look forward to engaging with you again. Maybe next time when you're in Delhi or I'm in Bangalore, let's catch up for
Yes,
a drink or a
definitely.
coffee something together. And you must come and address our students. You're highly motivational, so I'm sure they'll learn something more from you besides this digital video that we share with our students. So thank you very much, Raghav, and
Right.
wish you all the
Thank you.
best in building. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Have a great
Bye
evening. Bye
bye.
bye.